I guess technically this is celebrating its 10th anniversary. This is Godzilla, the 2014 version that was directed by Gareth Edwards. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, and they're playing husband and wife, which is just so weird after seeing them play brother and sister in Avengers. It's like, really? Um, Bryan Cranston, David Strathairn, Ken Watanabe, uh, Juliette Binoche, Sally Hawkins. Lots of Oscar nominees are in this. They've pulled just their resources to get Oscar nominees all up in this film. And it does have audio description by Deluxe. And it's James O'Hara if you watch this on Max, where all of the uh well that I don't want to say all of the Godzilla films, because I don't want you to think that like all of the films that Toho's been making for the last 75 years are all on Max. um but all of the ones that are in this relative universe are. So the only thing that's not is Monarch, which you would have to hop over to Apple Plus to watch Monarch, the TV series that ties into this franchise. This is my second time watching this. I really just didn't think I'd ever watch this again, but I did. And for completion reasons, because today is Godzilla X Kong for your Easter festivities. Isn't that splendid? Uh, I don't know what the X means. It's a team up. Godzilla times Kong. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so we have in the original Godzilla. I didn't like it because I'm a blind film critic now, so you can click subscribe to that and join me on my journeys of talking about what it's like to have seen a movie and then to have not be able to see the same movie. I don't like the original Godzilla because it's really dark and you couldn't really see what was happening. It's poorly shot. It really is. It's just the whole thing is just kind of like sitting in that theater. It was a sort of miserable experience. I even remember like where I was sitting. I remember what theater, what screen, and where I was sitting in the theater 10 years ago for this film. That's how much I love movies. I could literally find my seat in the theater, right, if I had to. And recreate this experience for myself. Um, I just, yeah, I had such a miserable experience watching this film. It was just so um, it just dark and loud and obnoxious and humorless and bleak and just everything. And the one thing that it has going for it is excellent acting. I mean, Bryan Cranston in this film is fantastic. Bryan Cranston does not know he's in a Godzilla movie. He doesn't know what movie he's in, but he is going to give it 110%. And I feel kind of bad because like an actress like Juliette Binoche is barely in this. She's a phenomenal actress. She's barely in this film. Um, and I feel like Ken Watanabe spent a lot of time figuring out how he was going to say that one line, Godzilla. Like just that one line. When he gets to name it, when he gets to finally say it out loud, but they're like, what is it called? Godzilla. And he says it like really intensely. I really wanted him to say Gojira, too, but no, we're like, you're gonna say the American version of this. You go, none of this Gojira stuff. Um, this is what it is. I ended up enjoying it slightly better, and I'll tell you why. Because for me now, everything is dark and bleak, and so comparatively, I focused on the story, and I couldn't see that the muddiness of the visual effects because everything gets described to me as being crisp and clear, and you know what I'm saying? It's not like the audio description team is like, you can't really see what's happening here. It's kind of shot kind of like ass and no, It's well described. James O'Hara and his team. Yeah, they had 3 writers on this. By the way, there are 3 writers on this. Matthew Vickers was one of them. I didn't recognize the other 2 names on the audio description, and it does a good job of describing the movements of Godzilla, what he looks like with the spikes and the other creatures when they come into play, and they're fighting, and everybody's like sort of running for their lives, and um yeah, all the stuff that happens is it's expertly described. There was one British word that they used, and I can't remember what it was, and it was clearly a swap for something else. It was one of those British phrases where I was just like, "What?" And I'd never heard it before, and I was like, I remember making the mental note of I'll look that up when the movie's over, and I didn't remember it, so it wasn't that important. But I mean, that's one of the examples of when we get British audio description. Like, I've gotten really used to, torch and boot and certain things like that, but there was something else that they used in place of a word that wouldn't have made any sense in America. I'm like, that has to be a British phrase. I'm gonna look it up later, and I didn't even remember the word, so I just, okay, cool. Anyway, luckily I'd already seen this before, and the audio description was just there to complement it. I thought, from what I remember from this film, again, I didn't think this film was very visual to begin with. It's one of those films that it looks like they like turn down the lights so that you can't really see that the visual effects are not fully complete. Like, everything's dark, or is shot in a way where it's just like really quick shots. It's not sort of in the same expansive way where they want you to see, be like, look at what we achieved. Look at this. This is amazing. Like Lord of the Rings, where they're like, wow, look at the world we've created. Everything's like in close up or dark, or, there's haze or something. There's something always sort of like kind of obscuring it, from what I remember from this film. I gave it a D the first time around. I remember that, and or D plus, maybe D plus, somewhere around there. It was a D range grade, and my IMDb, because I went to IMDb to refresh myself on the cast list for this, 3. I put a 3 on IMDb, so I was. There are other films in the franchise that probably are better than this. Gareth does not direct the whole thing, so there's a reason for that. I think a lot of people had some problems with just the tone of this. I know people who really love this, though, so it's okay if you really love this. Everything is relative, and this film technically has like a 60 Metacritic score, which is decent. It has like a 6 point something on IMDb, which is average for IMDb. So it's not like people across the world hate this film. I just had a miserable time in the theater watching this. I think I expected more, and I got less, and that's all it was. Acting wise, the characters in this are not too bad. That's always been sort of a complaint of our American Godzilla films, is that there isn't a lot of character development in them. That's mostly true, but Bryan Cranston makes up for a lot of that, because you're like, well, at least there's one character who's acting his face off and is giving us tons of character. He's not in the film a lot, but when he is on screen, he's making a huge impact. So, and then Aaron Taylor Johnson tries, with the amount of screen time that he has, to do something here, but it's just not really something he can save by himself. That's it. That's Godzilla. You can watch it. It's on Max. I will say I'm going to elevate it up a little bit, because a lot of my complaints that I have just don't make sense anymore as a blind person. And I did enjoy the film more a second time around, because I didn't have to deal with the shitty visual look of this film. That was taken off the table for me, because now nothing has a shitty visual look, because I can't see anything. So now I had to just think about the plot and the runtime and pacing and all of those things, and the score, and I analyzed everything else, and now visual effects weren't there to weigh down the grade. I'm still not a huge fan of the film, but I'll give Godzilla a C. Yep. we're bumping it up a little bit. I think it's, I mean, considering some of the stuff that I watched last year, like Meg 2 The Trench, yeah, this is better than Meg 2 The Trench in terms of like a blind person experiencing things. Yeah, and I like the first Meg. So, yeah, I mean, perspective, right? Anyway, that's all. Hope you click subscribe, and I'll see you later. And watch something else, review it. See you guys on the other side.